The United States government has expanded its visa bond policy, and Nigeria is now included. Nigeria is included in any bad restrictions. Every day we wake up, President Trump is acting against Nigerian elites. Are we ignoring the message here? Are we ignoring the message from America? Under this new rule, for example, if you country, but Nigeria is included, Nigerians applying for U.S. business and tourist visas may be required to post a refundable bond of up to $15,000 before a visa is even considered. Most of the visa is normally these tourists and business. Let me repeat this slowly. 15,000 American dollars. That's about 21 million naira just to apply. That's even before you even fill form. This policy is confirmed. It is official. It's not a rumor. And it is scheduled to take effect later this month. I think on the 21st, if I'm not mistaken. Think of this. A vast majority of Nigerians cannot even afford a flight ticket to the U.S. So who from Nigeria is traveling to the U.S.? Who is going to suffer? Who will this affect? My guess is as good as yours. Now, ask yourself this. Countries are not treated this way when they're seen as stable, predictable, well-governed. Switzerland is not treated this way. Is this to discourage Nigerians from leaving Nigeria? Is that the whole idea? Is it to force people to stay in Nigeria, build their own universities and hospitals in Nigeria? Don't send your children overseas. Do it in Nigeria. Make those politicians carry out policies. Or Western countries simply tired of Nigerians abandoning a broken government. Japan, they are all living. For what? In my opinion, this is not punishment. This is perception. And perception is politics. Why is Nigeria always included in that list? Time to hold the corrupt presidency of Bola Tinubu and Senate President Goodluck Jonathan to account. Hold them to account. So they build those things in Nigeria, not relying on visa to other countries.
The only mistake Peter Obi made in 2023 was stopping the Nigerian youth from demanding that 2023 elections cancelled after it was clear that it was rigged. That was the only mistake.
Now we be the voice that got talk true. For the language on they so for silence too long.
Oh yes, my people, for this edition of Voices of Vigilance, the zealous political analyst Ofiong Akwa will give on an inside story about what him think fit happen for Nigeria in the coming months. This movement where Peter Obi make to enter ADC don't reshuffle political game for inside Nigeria. For inside this video, plenty rumor don't they come out. They wonder whether Tinubu dey sick or be whether he go fit run for 2027. Nobody sabi. That rumor about Goodluck Jonathan joining PDP don't come out here again, oh my people. And again, the intervention of the US for the terror war for Nigeria. It get any political undertone? All these and more where active voice of Ofiong Akwa go analyze for inside this video. Make we listen.
Before we even begin tonight's episode, and before the things we need to talk about, before we talk about the yet to be confirmed, unconfirmed reports of US C-130 aircraft sightings or a sudden increase in drone activity over northern Nigeria, there is a verified international development Nigerians must understand today, January 7, 2026. The United States government has expanded its visa bond policy, and Nigeria is now included. Nigeria is included in any bad restrictions. Every day we wake up, President Trump is acting against Nigerian elites. Are we ignoring the message here? Are we ignoring the message from America? Under this new rule, for example, if you country, but Nigeria is included, Nigerians applying for U.S. business and tourist visas may be required to post a refundable bond of up to $15,000 before a visa is even considered. Most of the visa is normally these tourists and business. Let me repeat this slowly. 15,000 American dollars. That's about 21 million naira just to apply. That's even before you even fill form. This policy is confirmed. It is official. It's not a rumor. And it is scheduled to take effect later this month, I think on the 21st, if I'm not mistaken. Think of this. A vast majority of Nigerians cannot even afford a flight ticket to the US. So who from Nigeria is traveling to the US? Who is going to suffer? Who will this affect? My guess is as good as yours. Now, ask yourself this. Countries are not treated this way when they're seen as stable, predictable, well-governed. Switzerland is not treated this way. Is this to discourage Nigerians from leaving Nigeria? Is that the whole idea? Is it to force people to stay in Nigeria, build their own universities and hospitals in Nigeria? Don't send your children overseas. Do it in Nigeria. Make those politicians carry out policies. Or Western countries simply tired of Nigerians abandoning a broken government. Japan, they are all living. For what? In my opinion, this is not punishment. This is perception. And perception is politics. Why is Nigeria always included in that list? Time to hold the corrupt presidency of Bola Tinubu and Senate President Goodluck Jonathan to account. Hold them to account. So they build those things in Nigeria, don't relying on visa to other countries. This is the Ofiong show on YouTube. Ladies and gentlemen. You know, I was feeling this way. Something feels off when it comes to Nigeria. Very off, very odd. Since Christmas, after that Christmas wahala in Sokoto, Nigeria's political atmosphere has changed. Not with noise, but with silence. A silence so loud that it is now generating rumors, whispers, and political maneuvers behind closed doors. The Nigerian government doesn't want to talk. Nobody in Nigerian politics wants to talk about Sokoto. And when power goes quiet in Nigeria, history tells us something important is happening. In Nigeria, silence is never innocent. Especially when the generators beside the house are still running. Tonight's episode is not an accusation. It is not a declaration of fact. It is an analysis of signals, perceptions, and political behavior. That's what I'm doing. I'm analyzing them. It's an opinion. It is my speculation, informed speculation. And I will say this clearly. But politics is not only about what is officially announced. It is also about what powerful people begin to prepare for, what Nigerian big men are privately preparing for. In Nigeria, rumors don't start from nowhere. They start from inside. Then the rest of us hear the echo. That's how the echo comes. And we can't ignore the echo. We can't. Let me tell you why this conversation is happening. Let me state this up front. There are circulating reports right now. And rumors. I state this clearly. Especially on social media and within political circles in Nigeria, that President Bola Tinubu is ill or incapacitated abroad. You hear it all the time. That's not a big deal. I'm not stating this as a fact. As I said, people talk. They don't have evidence. There is no verified public confirmation of this. Aso Rock is not helping matters. Aso Rock is not telling us, is the president sick? Why is he traveling? They tell us a story, but he goes to hospitals, we hear. However, politics does not wait for hospital bulletins. Politics responds to vacuum, uncertainty, and risk. And right now, many insiders believe that the Nigerian system is quietly asking one question. What if? These are like discussions among insiders. What if power becomes unstable? What if succession must be managed? What if Nigeria must avoid a Venezuela-style implosion and confusion? That discussion is afoot. That is where developments, not rumors, begin to matter. That's why we must talk about it. We cannot just keep quiet like the Nigerian politicians. Let me give you development number one, the Jonathan meeting. This is real. This is confirmed. It's not a rumor. Jonathan Goodluck meeting is not a rumor. The National Working Committee of the People's Democratic Party, PDP, held a high-level closed-door meeting with former Goodluck. Call it closed door. We've seen the pictures. We know the meeting held. Let me be very clear. you do not assemble party heavyweights. You do not sit privately with a former head of state like Goodluck. You do not start using words which the delegation used like rescue mission if politics is normal in the country. Fractured, timid opposition parties like PDP do not suddenly rediscover courage unless they smell weakness or transition. They're suffering under Tinubu sending EFCC to chase all of them. But this meeting does not prove that President Tinubu is incapacitated. It doesn't. We've already said that's a rumor. But it does tell us something important. And Nigerians should not ignore this. Elite political calculations have begun. 2027 or no 2027, elite political calculations have already begun. There is a Nigerian proverb that captures this whole thing perfectly. It says, when a chicken is dancing in the open, something in the bush is beating the drum. When a chicken is dancing in the open, it's not dancing by itself, but something in the bush is beating the drum. In plain terms, political actors rarely move in isolation. They move when they believe certain conditions. It may be internal, it may be external, or it may be both, that those conditions are starting to shift. Some forces now appear emboldened, some forces in Nigeria, by uncertainty, international pressure, like the Trump-Sokoto attacks against Christian genocide, and prolonged silence at the center to test the political waters. Is this the best approach? Is it constitutional? Is it wise? This is the discussion we're going to be having with time. By the way, those people that went to meet Goodluck, they want to bring the ineffective, scared, toothless, and weak Jonathan Goodluck back. That's a bad idea. No more, but Nigeria is not to do that. No more recycling. They just bring a weak man and come and put there, thinking it will maintain a system that is tanking already, thinking it will make Americans happy. Security signals and the rumors which I talked about, I have from the word Go said, we are just hearing this. So let us address these sensitive claims carefully and responsibly. People have talked about, oh, this is a claim. Oh, we've seen a US C-130 aircraft in Abuja. At this moment, there is no independently verified information that the US military C-130 aircraft is stationed in Abuja for evacuation of political purposes. But after Sokoto, we are sensitive to everything. We hear everything we talk, but we are also careful to say that there are claims. Claims circulating online, those claims are unverified. These are just claims. And you know me, I'm very, very accurate with that. What is true, though, in Nigeria, once people see any aircraft, everybody suddenly becomes an aviation analyst. Especially if the Tomahawk missiles in Sokoto has happened. Even village WhatsApp groups start reading tail numbers of the aircraft. So on this point, I say it's speculation only. There's no confirmation. I've said this a million times. Another claim that we've heard recently, a lot of talk, US drones and surveillance activity. There are credible indications, though, of increased foreign intelligence and surveillance cooperation actually tied to counter-terrorism pressure on the Nigerian government. The US is pressing the Nigerian government. So the fact that you have these drones that the US work with Nigeria to find out what's going on is not new. That is not a cool signal. That is counter-terror wahala. But social media, of course, has exaggerated. We know what happens. It has exaggerated. Oh, America has taken over Nigerian space. That is not proven. That is not happen. Some cooperation is real. Many of those claims are exaggerated. But I don't blame people when you have this type of vacuum in the place. When one day you are sitting there attacking Sokoto. But what actually matters, though, in analysis, is the behavior of Nigerian political elites. Let me tell you what matters more than drones, planes, or even rumors. Nigerian elite behavior. Watch it. Big man behavior. Opposition that has been cowed by EFCC suddenly organizing. Former leaders that people have forgotten about being consulted. Power blocks hedging. Silence replacing propaganda. These are classic pre-transition symptoms in fragile democracies like Nigeria. I lived in the former Soviet Union. I saw it live. It does not mean replacement is happening. It means people are preparing for uncertainty. That's all. And in Nigeria, preparation often comes before the truth. Remember, Nigeria is a country of coup upon coup, military coup, counter coup. So Nigerian mentality is unique. This is my final analysis. Nigeria is not yet in a constitutional crisis, even though, in my view, it operates an imposed alien constitution. Nobody wrote that constitution. Abacha wrote that constitution. But Nigeria is in a confidence crisis. And when confidence in leadership weakens, even temporarily, political actors reposition. That is what we are witnessing. That is what I want to hear us discuss in the comment section of the Ofiong show on YouTube. Nothing more, nothing less.
For another story, Mr. Common Sense don't talk for this video. He talk plenty things why Nigeria need a strong opposition like the ADC. He say even though he know like plenty people for inside that party, but he they ready to work with them to make sure say they come out APC for 2027. Him say 2027 no go be like 2023. My people say if APC try to rig that election, there will not be any country remaining.
The only mistake Peter Obi made in 2023 was stopping the Nigerian youth from demanding that 2023 elections cancelled after it was clear that it was rigged. That was the only mistake he made. It wasn't that he wasn't qualified. It wasn't that he didn't win the election. The only mistake he made was not allowing Nigerian youth, because he was the only leader of that particular movement. And because of that, everything, he knew that should Nigerian youth go on the street, he would be the person, his tribe and everything. There were too many dynamics. His tribe will suffer for it. He will even if he didn't have a problem, but his tribe will suffer for it. So because of that, he was careful. In 2027, we will have different political influences, and Peter Obi does not need to enforce his will on Nigerian people. Should the election be rigged, should that election be rigged, Peter Obi will only be just like a passerby. He will not know how it will move. And that is why we should not, for any reason, support any narrative spinning that want to demonize the ADC because of certain politicians that are in that party. And if in case you don't know, and I've said it in my close circle, it will only take someone who is a loyalist of Bola Tinubu and his government and whatever attendant disastrous government they are running, or an ignorant person to think that the ADC should not prosper in the face of the current political dynamics in our country. Again, ignorance or being wickedly supporting this party. If you know that the only way to sustain this democracy is by a viable opposition, you will support this opposition that is standing. It doesn't mean that everything is best. It doesn't mean that these guys are the best. But we need to have an opposition, not these mushroom parties of AAC, Labour Party, PDP, ABGA. Cannot work. Enforcing PDP to stop that their 60 years projection that former party National Party Chairman Vincent Eziogbula for projected in 2008 that the party ruled Nigeria for 80 years. It took the APC to come together, several political parties, to merge to stopping that thing. Whether or not this has produced quality governance is a different ballgame entirely. But we must understand that any development or progress that is not precipitated on political participation, on democratic principles, will not last. And the reason why the PDP failed was that though they had good plans or better plans than the APC, but they were not also able to allow democracy to thrive. And it took plenty political parties and influencers to come together to force the PDP against their will. Now, if you look at the trajectory that what is upon us right now, you will know that it will only take a measure. Now, let me give you a tip of the iceberg how bad things are with our current situation, so you know why we should not support any narration, whether it's from Showoro or anybody trying to spin narrative. Guess what? They are scared. They are scared. And if you know what happened in 2023, it was because Peter Obi was the only anchor of the movement. That's why he was scared not to have. He tried to control it and made us believe that he knew that the judiciary was going to be a joke. But he did his best to ensure that the country was safe. In 2027, Bola Tinubu and his cohort wants to end the country. Let them go ahead and do what he did in 2023. Let me give you a bit of background. We've been hearing, of course, everywhere, that since February of 2025, there have been reports of NNPC not remitting funds to the Federation account. In February, it was reported that about 13.7 trillion naira were not remitted to the Federation account. In August, it was World Bank said that over 500 billion naira was not remitted. In September, another 2 trillion naira were said not to have been remitted, not to have been accounted for, even with the Petroleum Industry Act now in view. But guess what? Mele Kyari, who was Group Managing Director, is only being quizzed by EFCC. And the prosecution is not even at the loudest. They are playing politics with it only because of $7.2 billion allegedly said that was money meant for turnaround maintenance of the 3 refineries in Nigeria. Until tomorrow, we don't know what's happening with that case. Nothing is being said. The oversight function of National Assembly has been silent on that. A couple of days ago, Bola Tinubu wiped off, forgave, wrote off over $5 billion that was owed by the NNPCL to foreign and local contractors and generally liabilities. Wiped it off. Listen, $5 billion have been wiped off by the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria that the NNPC is owing. Why? Because they are getting ready to sell NNPC. They want to put it out in public. So it's a why. This is the beginning of the process. So they are wiping off debts so that they can buy it over. And you think we don't need a viable opposition? There have been many instances in this country in the last 1 year that would have taken Nigerians to be on the street to demand that this nonsense stop. But because of this mushroom party association, small parties that some people like, that's why we are not together. We need one umbrella. We need one camp. We need one group to be able to enforce that Nigerians demand that democracy must thrive and governance must be by the people. In all of this we have heard now, which one has been the front burner? Which one has the opposition fought? Which one has the government explained? How does a president unilaterally wipe off debts and nobody's being persecuted for all of this? What did they use the money for? As I talk to you, the 3 refineries in Nigeria are no longer working. Over $7 billion. Over $7 billion wiped off clearly and nothing happened. And then you tell me that it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. How much did Dangote use in building his refinery? Till tomorrow, we are still asking, what was NNPC's stake in building a refinery? Monies were borrowed in trillions of naira. But what we later heard was it was only 2 trillion. Over 20 trillion were allegedly borrowed as investment of NNPC, as Nigeria's investment in Dangote. We later it was 2 trillion. Who is in jail for it? Again, you are either a Tinubu supporter or you are ignorant of the situation that we are in. Finally, if we want to have a nation, we need to have I am not comfortable with a lot of persons in that coalition, but I don't care. If there is one man that I can see, and there is hope, and the man looks right, I will support the man. Because we are in the same party, we will not go to cast aspersions on anybody. I also do not want to attack anybody. We are going to work together to get Nigeria right. Well done to Atiku, well done to all of them. But you see, it will take only a man with a cult-like following to demand that Tinubu's government end in 2027. It will take only a man. I remember all of the things, the nostalgic experience we had in 2023 election. As at 11 p.m., 12 a.m., my wife and family were calling me. But I stood my ground and said that result must be transmitted. In the House of Assembly election a week later, when the Obaseki boys wanted to rig it, the head guns, vigilante boys head gun, we stood our ground in the Igbo, go and ask Igbo market. They have done what they want to do in Igbo primary school or Igbo health center or so primary school, and they went to Amagba. We stood our ground there. It took vigilantes cooperation with the police to have counted the way with that ballot box, and I can never forget that experience. So don't tell me what I know. 2027, Tinubu knows. Should he rig the election? If he doesn't allow a free and fair election, the day he rigs it, the Nigerian youth will go on the street and demand that the election is cancelled or there will be no more country.